chairs meets session, or the chairs meets tab session, or tab meets chairs session. I see a lot of the tab members online. I know we can't all make it because of the time zones. However, since this is a session where we meet each other, we should probably go around and introduce ourselves. It looks like we have about half chairs and half tab, which works out pretty well. But why don't we let the tab introduce themselves first? And if you don't know me, I'm Rob Quick. I'm at Indiana University. I'm one of the co-chairs along with Ming and Raphael, and have been a co-chair for, I guess, 3 years now. So my session will end at the end of this year. Though I will still be a tab member, I will no longer be a tab co-chair at the end of this year. Yeah, I'm the director of the Cyber Infrastructure Integration Research Center at Indiana University, and have been part of the community since 2014, I think, when I attended my first RDA plenary. So I'll let Ming go ahead and introduce herself and then pass the baton along. Ming, let's go through the co-chairs and then the other tab members, and then we'll go to the chairs of the interest and working groups.
Thanks, Rob, and hi, everyone. My name is Ming Fang Wu. I'm product manager working for Australia Research Data Commerce. This year is my second term as a tab member, and I also started co-chairs tab along with Rob and Raphael. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rafael. I'm at the São Paulo State University, and I've been a co-chair for the tab for 3 months now. So this will be like my first meeting with the tab meets chairs meeting as a co-chair. I've been involved with RDA for, I think, 3 or 4 years, 4 years now. And I started as a co-chair for one of the interest groups. Well, I'm really happy to have you all here, and I hope you all had a great plenary. Okay, should I choose someone to go?
Yeah, go ahead and just choose a next tab member.
So, yeah, so I'll pass it on to Lou.
Hi everyone, I'm Louise Bezuidenhout. I'm at Leiden University in the Netherlands. I am one of the new tab members. I just started my first term this year. I've been involved in the RDA since about 2015 and been a co-chair of the Co-Data RDA Data Science Summer Schools with Raphael and Rob. So very excited for this first plenary as a tab member. Do I just pass it on to someone else?
Yeah, do you want me to kind of go through here so we don't miss anybody? And I'm not sure if because the tab is worldwide, some of them meet in the morning and some of them meet in the evening. So I'm not even sure that all the tab members have met each other yet. So the next tab member I have is Victoria.
Hello, pardon me. My name is Victoria Smith. I am the Data Governance and Ethics Lead at the Digital Research Alliance of Canada. I'm also a new tab member this year and also relatively new to RDA. So I attended my first in-person plenary in Salzburg. I've come to research data management more from ethics and data governance. So didn't really conceive of myself as an RDM person and didn't quite even really, frankly, think of myself as a data person. I saw myself more as a research ethics person, and then later on a data governance person, and sort of found a professional home in the RDM community in Canada. So happy to be on the tab and to be learning more about and discovering more RDA groups. So thank you.
Thanks, Victoria. Daniel.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Daniel Bangert. I'm the director of 4TU Research Data, which is a data infrastructure based in the Netherlands. And Yeah, I think I joined RDA in 2015 and more active since 2018 in different ways as a co-chair and also supporting European projects in the RDA. And I'm very new to TAB.
Thanks, Daniel. It won't take long for you to become a veteran. Lori.
Hi, I'm Lori Hack. I am CEO and founder of Mighty Red Barn and also the founding executive director of ORCID. I've been involved with RDA since, well, I think it was the second plenary, and was founder and co-chair of the Persistent Identifier Interest Group, which I stepped down from last year. Like others, I am a new member of TAB. It's really exciting for me to be involved in RDA in a different way. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Let's go to Volmar.
Hello, I'm Volmar. I'm a data steward at a Swedish national bioinformatics infrastructure. It's a node in the European network of infrastructures for life science data called Elixir. And I'm also a co-chair for an interest group in the RDA for life science data infrastructures globally. I have a background in libraries, and I'm schooled in computational science and engineering physics. So I really enjoy these multidisciplinary areas. Thanks.
Thanks, Volmar. And I see Anu has also joined us. And Anu, we're just doing brief introductions.
All right. Sorry for being late. I just had a little delay in jumping off my previous meeting. My name is Anu Gururaj, and I am a program officer at NIAID, which is at the NIH in the US. I have been a member of RDA from I think 2015 or so. I was co-chair of the HRPO FAIR working group, which finished up probably about a year and a half ago. And I'm one of the new TAB members elected this year. Nice to meet everybody.
Yes, as you can see, we had several new TAB members join us this year. So now I think that's everybody that is from the TAB. So we should go through the interest group, working group chairs, and others on the call. Maggie, you're the first on my screen.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Maggie Hellström. I'm a co-chair of the FAIR Digital Object Fabric Interest Group, and I've been part of the RDA also since about 2015. So that seems to be the year when most of us sort of joined up. I have a big interest in, first of all, in persistent identifiers and how to deal with those, and also with all questions about FAIR and how to assess and use fairness as a, well, encourage researchers to be fair with their data and use that as a tool also in education. So I've also been messing around a bit with educational activities through the RDA. Thanks.
Thanks, Maggie. Francois.
So I had and I have many hats, and including in the RDA. So I have been a member of the RDA somehow before it was created, because I was part of a European project which was working to create that. And I am here because I am the co-chair of evaluation of research interest group. And it's the first time I am a co-chair of a group. And at some point, there was a discussion to know whether the national groups were invited to attend these meetings. And I think the policy was fluctuating. I don't know what is the current policy. But I am here not for RDA France, but for evaluation of research.
So we'll talk with the rest of the TAB about invitations, but I think having these meetings be as open as possible is good, as long as we stay in the subject of, how the TAB can assist the working groups and interest groups. I don't know that I'd want to get too wide of a purview and start doing regional groups, but they're welcome to attend. but I would hope to interact with them as working group interest groups. But this is only my opinion. We'll talk about it in the tab and get back to you for the session before Costa Rica. So Rory, you're the next on my list.
Thanks, Rob. Hi, Rory McNeil. Hi, everyone. I am CEO of ResearchBase, which is a digital research platform. And I'm co-chair of 3 groups: the Research Data Architectures in Research Institutions, the OFR/RDA Mapping the Landscape of Digital Research Tools, and working with PIDs in tools. And as you can see from my group, I was also very actively involved and continue to be actively involved in the GORC working groups and the development of the GORC model. So my 2 interests are PIDs and research infrastructures.
Great, thank you, Rory. Svinung, and sorry if I pronounced that poorly.
Fine. It's Sveinung. It's a Norwegian name. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. So my name is Sveinung. I'm co-chair of a working group that is, I guess, not yet a working group, but the verification of genomic annotations, which is currently in council review. But the indications, I guess, is that I think I can join this meeting. Yeah, so I'm quite new to RDA, been to a couple of plenaries now the last year, but apart from that, it's still a new experience.
Very good, thank you and welcome. Raina.
Hi, I'm Raina Jenkins. I'm the Associate Director at the World Data System International Technology Office, where I've been the last year. Prior to that, worked 15 years with Ocean Networks Canada. So I'm interested in all things related to data repositories. I'm one of the co-chairs for the data granularity working group, and we're just wrapping up right now. And just today, we finally heard the link to create the group output on the revised website is now available. So hopefully we'll get that submitted shortly. And also just hoping to learn a little bit more about what's the status of the web migration, since we've been looking around for some of the references for our outputs to cite them properly that have been missing. And so those are some of the final little steps we need to do before we can submit.
Gotcha, thank you. Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex Ball, a Research Data Systems Librarian at the University of Bath, co-chair of the Metadata Interest Group and the Metadata Standards Catalog Working Group. I've been around since about plenary 3, so a fairly old hand.
Very good, thanks, Alex. Robert.
Yes, hi, I'm Bob Downs, and I'm at Columbia University at the Center for International Earth Science Information Network, and there I'm the Senior Digital Archivist and Acting Head of Cyber Infrastructure and Informatics R&D. I've been involved in RDA for over a decade now, and I'm one of the co-chairs of the Repository Platforms for Research Data Interest Group. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. CJ.
Hey, I'm CJ Woodford. I'm a project manager with the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, whose background I don't have, but I'll fix that. There we go. That's the right job now. I also have a part-time job as an astronomy educator, which is what you just saw, so sorry about that. And I'm a co-chair for the Global Open Research Commons International Model Working Group. Roy already mentioned it. I'm kind of a stand-in co-chair for the interest group as well, where those 2 groups have been working closely together. I'm going to be co-chair for new GORC groups that are coming up, of which there's going to be 2, one of which has already been approved for Tiger support, and we're hoping to submit a case statement soon. I'm an outgoing co-chair of the Community-Based Catalog of Requirements for Trustworthy Technical Repository Service Providers Working Group, or TRSP's working group for short, because the names with RDA keep getting longer and longer to distinguish them, I guess. But because I don't see my other co-chairs here, I just wanted to mention that one, and I'll report back to them as well. So my interests are very much like research infrastructure and creating models to help research infrastructures work together. So very much on that interoperability piece.
Very good. And Lisa?
Hi, everybody. My name is Lisa Lechtzer. I'm a science officer in RDA Europe, but I'm also co-chair of the Professionalizing Data Stewardship interest group. And I'm a member of RDA since 2016 and more actively involved since 2020-ish, I think. I think it was a pandemic thing.
Very good. Thanks, Lisa. And last but definitely not least, Connie.
Thank you. Thanks, Rob. I didn't know if you were going to include me actually, because for those who don't know me, I'm not actually a TAB member and I'm also not a co-chair of any groups anymore. But I am the Community Development Manager at the Research Data Alliance. So my role is to work with the groups to try and grow and develop the community in various areas and try to harmonise efforts across groups. And I'm also the TAB liaison. So I serve as the linking pin. I join every bi-weekly meeting for the TAB, kind of bring news from the Secretariat and vice versa, take things back to the TAB, from the TAB to the Secretariat. So that's why I'm here as well. I'm very interested in the discussion that you'll have. Thank you.
Yes, I definitely wasn't going to skip you, Connie. I did save you for last because you're that kind of, as you said, linking between the TAB and the Secretariat. So, okay, well, it sounds like we have a great group here. I know, and I've been busy all day. I know that Raphael, you have a few slides with some of the activities that the TAB has been doing recently, and then really what this session always is a chance for the TAB to learn what you as co-chairs and as co-chairs of interest groups and working groups need from the TAB. So we'll have a few slides, and then we'll have just an open discussion and see how the TAB may help assist you in the work as interest groups and working group chairs. There was one subject that was brought up was about the website, and I might have to lean on Connie for the latest news on that if she has anything. While the TAB did some initial work and help with the platform, we have not been part of the transition directly. The transition after the technology was selected has been really the Secretariat working with the vendor. So I don't know, Connie, if you have anything there, but we'll cover that after Raphael goes through kind of some of the other activities we've been doing.
Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen. Just 1 second. Can you guys see my screen? Just checking if it's working.
Looks good.
Okay, so the idea is just to give you guys a brief list of things that TAB has been working with, and also our plans for the near future. So as Rob said, we try to focus every year on mainly 1 or 2 goals. So I have to say that TAB members are volunteers, so they all donate their time for working with things that might help RDA with their long-term goals and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just go very quickly through the slides because the most important part is actually to have a discussion at the end. So first, I'm just gonna briefly describe the standard activities that we usually do on TAB, and then I'll jump into additional focus areas that we've been also involved in trying to make it happen recently. Okay, so for the standard activities, TAB is mostly involved with reviews of case statements and of new working groups and also interest groups. so also charters of interest groups and assigning liaisons for the working groups and interest groups, and also, of course, liaisoning with those interest groups and working groups. So most of you have probably known TAB because at some point you've received a message from someone from TAB saying, well, I'm your liaison, and perhaps it will be a good idea for you to submit a session for the next plenary or so. So I think that's what is the baseline of activities for TAB. We also are involved with the plenary reviews. More recently, we've been doing the reviews of all submissions. So just for you to have a sense, this year we had 57 submissions and only 2 rejections. And the role of TAB members is actually to provide some insightful feedback and suggestions for the submissions. So if there are any adjustments that the group could work on and then having their session approved, then that's what we suggest. So we also help shaping the selection process with that. And also we're responsible for writing the feedback for the submissions. Okay, so these are the standard activities. More than that, we also do every year a pathways review. So the idea is actually to catch unbalancing of pathways in the plenaries. So this year we are suggesting some restructuring of the pathways, because we've done with the help of the Secretariat some analysis of the submission from previous years. So this is more or less what the submissions look like by pathways from P19 up to this year's plenary. So after that, we suggest a new set of pathways. And as I said, I'm going very quickly on this. And if you have any questions, you can ask me afterwards. We can jump back to this topic later. Okay. Well, we also work on the post-plenary webinars. So maybe a few of you know us from the webinar that we usually conduct after the plenary, at which we summarize most of the presentations and try to highlight what are the main outputs of those sessions. But the thing is that in TAB, we've been doing this discussion for a while, whether or not the post-plenary webinar is something effective for letting people know of the outputs and outcomes of the presentations during the plenaries. So we've decided to do something different this year. That will be actually to write a report on the sessions. So we're gonna gather the information from the notes that all of you should have filled during your sessions, and we're going to compile those into a report. Okay, and this is actually something that we think it will be more helpful than actually just having 1 or 2 webinars at which the attendance is not that big. So maybe this is something worth trying. Okay, other than that, we are also working on improving the efficiency of TAB, especially making sure that everybody on TAB is contributing. So we've been working on a few internal process for TAB to spot and decide how to act on TAB inactive members. Just for you to know, this is also something that we've been working on. There is also one thing that we've been, well, it's been on our minds from, I think, 2 years ago, which is a challenge based on the description of working groups and interest groups. Or that means the case statements and the charters that are available in the website. So we could find possible connections between the working groups. So the idea was to gather the data from the website, and at some point we just gave up on that because it was hard to get the information from the previous website. So now that we're going to have a new platform, this is something that we want to propose that will come in the form of a challenge So the idea is that we gather the data from the website and make it available for the community to try to use visualization techniques, natural language processing techniques, or anything like that to try to find these connections between the working groups. Other than that, there is this project that involves the Secretariat and TAB, that is the gardening of RDA groups. I know that Connie has done a lot of the work here. And the idea is actually to try to gather information from the groups based on the outputs and also adoption cases. Okay, and try to compile it also on a document that make it available for the community. Okay, so as I said, I was going to be very quick on the updates, and we jump into the feedback and ideas from the chairs for discussion. And at this point, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, if that is okay with you guys.
So, and Francois, I'll get to you in just a moment, but I think since the question about the website was raised earlier, I don't know if Connie, you can kind of tell us the latest update of what's happening there, and was it Raina who had that question regarding the output locations? I know that you have one of those now, but there's still some things I know that are being put into place.
I think
Raina, overall status. Sorry.
You go. You asked, yeah.
Oh, well, just an overall status of where things are and what's left to do would be helpful. And like maybe some.
Yeah.
You have time frame.
Yeah. So what we're doing is at the moment I'm trying to keep everything up to date on this web page that I've just popped in the chat, which is quite comprehensive, although as I'm sure you can appreciate, it doesn't cover absolutely everything, because as you start developing some kind of feature or functionality, you realize that actually something else needs to be improved or worked upon. So at the moment, I think your question, Raina, originally was about the outputs, the recommendations and output submission forms, right? So that you could actually submit one. So that should be working now. One of the big problems that we've had during the plenary has been community review for new groups. So case statements, charters and agreements, and also review of recommendations and outputs. So we've been working actually in parallel with the plenary, with the developers, to try and resolve that. And Francois has brought that to my attention as well, because we might need to extend the review period for the 4 groups that are in review or were in review during this time, because not everybody could comment, basically. So I would really encourage you to go to the webpage and just have a look at the different things we're working on. So those are agreed milestones or deadlines with the developers. They've actually proposed them. And in some cases, we are having to postpone, and I'm just striking through the original date and adding a new date there. I mean, I don't know if anybody here has actually worked with developers. This is my first time, but it's actually been quite a frustrating process, because obviously we decided to launch the new platform prior to this plenary, knowing that if we, thanks CJ, I see your emoji, and that's exactly how it feels sometimes. But we decided to soft launch this web platform before the plenary, based on the fact that if we waited after, then they wouldn't give us enough time to sort of promote Costa Rica and get the call for sessions out there. So there's always a plenary to organise, and we need the web platform. And obviously we appreciate that you as community members do everything using the web platform, so you also need it too. So I can only really apologise for any inconvenience and frustration that the web platform has caused, because it also causes the Secretariat a great deal as well, because it means that we also can't contact groups, the group chairs, the tab very easily, for example. I mean, we used a mailing list before, but now we wanted to move towards something that was more web-centric and more innovative, but it actually means that we're waiting for a lot of these different features to actually be implemented, and then of course they've got to be tested. So I think if we'd have delayed by 6 months, I still think personally we would have been in a similar situation where we would still need to test a lot of things with the community. So thank you very much for your patience. In terms of like upcoming important features that I think are relevant, so we've got actually a community landing page as well as a home page. So if you go to your member portal area, you should actually see a link to a community landing page, which is only accessible for RDA community members, and that should bring to your attention the groups that are in review for your comments, the recommendations and outputs that are currently under review, and also any imminent events, group events or plenaries that might be interesting too. That's under development, but I believe that you can access the community landing page, but there will be different blocks and things to be added to that. There's also a search function for the homepage that's coming. We are waiting for the individual member directory, which should be live by the end of the month. We've been given the deadline of the 31st of May. There's also an organisational and affiliate member directory, which should go live by the end of the month. And we're also still yet waiting for our developers to migrate the past plenaries and also past news and events and blogs and things like that, and the podcasts. So there's a lot still outstanding to be done. But we are making slow but sure progress. It's just that none of us are actually full-time working on the actual web platform. We've all got, obviously, within the Secretariat, we're a very lean team of 4 full-time staff members. So we are doing this in addition to our typical everyday work. So I hope that was an update for you. I appreciate that it's not easy at the moment, but hopefully things are getting there. And we really appreciate if you can either email us with anything or use the user snap feature, which I know Maggie said she's not had any response. She's actually used that. That goes directly to the web developers. But we're in contact with Wicket every day, trying to move things forward.
Thanks, Connie. Thanks. And CJ has a website related question. Are there any changes to the timelines for new groups assessment or the process to submit charters and case statements? As far as I know, we're trying to keep the timelines as as close to possible as the originals. The only thing that I can see might be affected there is the time for community review if the community has trouble finding those case statements. The tab themselves get the a direct message in our meeting, so there's not any change to the tab review schedule, but there might be the necessity to rethink the community reviews because it's harder to find, as Connie was saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. And because we have had challenges with community members being able to comment, obviously, on those that have just been open for review. I did speak to Bridget about this the other day, that we need to extend the community review deadlines for those. But that might have to be something we consider doing for a while until the community becomes a bit more familiar with how to navigate the platform. And I also just wanted to say, when we feel a bit more confident with the features that we have, like, for example, the tabs that you have on the group pages, for instance, and how you can send group posts and group messages and what the differences are, etc. We're hoping to actually record some tutorials that we can share with the community. Yeah, that's something that we think is a good idea. But at the moment, obviously, there's a lot of different features and a lot of new ways of working on the platform that we need to make sure we are happy with, so that we can share. We might have to do this several iterations of these tutorials, actually, because things might change over time. But I'd imagine they would be coming in sort of the next few months, because we need to start helping you use the platform.
Well, let me say you're doing a wonderful job. I know the complexity of moving from the old to the new. So while it is taking a while and there is some inconvenience and some things not in place, I think the Secretariat is doing a wonderful job with what they have at hand. It was an incredibly complex website to begin with, which is why there was a transition, but it also the data remains incredibly complex. So I don't want to turn this into let's figure out the functionality. Definitely, I think the entire community is aware of how complex this is and that it will take some time.
Thank you.
Maggie, I'll come right to you, but it looks like Francois in the chat had a follow-up to the pages. The group pages will be copied to the new system.
Yeah, so there were a few pages. What I think at the moment, so the group descriptions should be there, the membership should be there, case statements and charters and agreements should be there, although we need to change the tab title because it says case statement throughout, whether you're an interest group or a community of practice, which is not correct. Past plenaries should be there, but in each case, I think the formatting could be significantly improved. I mean, some of the case statements, you go into the case statement tab and there are a couple of revisions, but you can't easily see and identify, you know, the title of the case statement, for example, or if it was a past plenary, you can't see which plenary it actually relates to. But there is going to be also migration of the repository, because I know some groups have used the repository and also the wiki. So I actually asked the developers about that. I think it was just last week to see when they would be migrated over. So the answer is yes, we do need to still move information over. And like with everything, we get a deadline that was a month ago and it's not yet happened. But one thing I also just want to mention, and this was really down to the Secretariat, is we've actually had to migrate all of the basic content ourselves. So what we've had to do, which wasn't actually anticipated, we had to, in a lot of ways, go to the archived website, and where there was a lot of duplication, we've had to actually rewrite a lot of the pages to try and simplify them, and that work is ongoing and will probably continue for a long time into the future. But it's just to let you know, it's not just a case of migrating things, it's actually looking to see where duplication is and see how we can actually simplify processes, especially for newcomers that don't know the RDA so well.
Very, very good. And Maggie, are you comments about the website?
It's both about the website and in general about, say, information security in a long term.
Okay, so let me, before you start your question, and we'll hear about it, I do want to push off the rest of the website questions, and that's something that I think the group should communicate directly with either the Secretariat or through the problem thing, so we don't spend the entire time here talking about the website, because that's really not the purpose of this meeting. So go ahead, Maggie. And because
very briefly, I'm concerned about information and documents and content that groups have been and are creating using the Google type of platform. And I mean, of course, we also use Google for RDA things like the session notes and all of these things for the plenary, etc. And as people leave the RDA, they've been using or graciously allowing people to use folders on their own personal Google Drives, but then they might leave or they might even pass away, and all of these things, sad things happening. And that subtly means that the hundreds of documents that could be really useful are just gone. And I just wanted to raise this issue, not for today to be discussed, but to be remembered as a future topic, because I think that is extremely important that we have some kind of recommendations from RDA leadership on what to do.
Okay. Yeah, that's a very good point, Maggie. And really, it's about practicing what you preach in terms of research data management and making sure you've got everything where you need it and stored for long term. So I'll take that back to the Secretariat. Thank you for raising that. I've made a note.
And that is something, Connie, that maybe so we can get a couple of members of TAB to work with you on what we think is the proper scheme for recording notes that you know, making sure that not only notes but any Google documents or documents on a collaborative system have long-term and whether that's that we make sure people are putting them in the website when it's fully functional, or we have some other mechanism. I think that's something that maybe recruiting a member or two of TAB to kind of come up with that scheme is the right way to go. So
yeah, thank you.
Okay, CJ.
Related to Maggie's question, actually, we've had to go through that in the GORC interest group and working groups. One of our chairs passed away last year, and all of our content was in her drive. And we found out that it was so when all of our documents became viewable only. So that's a process that Google goes through. We've managed to come out of that preserving most things. So we've got to start on what that such a standard could look like just from our own experience. So myself and Andrew Trillar were the people heading that migration of content and making sure that things could live regardless of who was still in the group or co-chairing the group. So just a voice to say, Connie and Rob, if you guys want to talk about what that might look like in the long term, to think about what that could look like for other RDA groups so they aren't hit with that wall when someone does leave or pass away. Please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to talk about our process and maybe find a better way to do it.
That would be great. Thank you very much, CJ.
Yeah, I think that thinking of the simplest possible thing, if there was an RDA Google account that we kind of require to be added to any Google Doc that works on Google, but maybe not at other administrative systems. I'm thinking of the simplest possible solution here, and that would be that the owner not be any one individual, but the owner be the secretariat in some way, or a community account from Google, so that whoever manages that or administers that account could always give access to other people. So anyway, that may not be the right solution, but problems like this make me force me to think of what's the easiest possible way around this, and I'm not sure that it's the right way. It's just the easiest way. Okay, very good. Thanks, CJ. And again, I think that's a very important question and something the tab can help with our experience and expertise. Okay. So there have been some other questions in the chat. If these are questions that, and we need to go back to Francois. Sorry, Francois, we got sidetracked on the website question, but go ahead.
Yes, my question, I have a suggestion about the pathways. I think that it would be very useful to have a specific item, which is policy or policies, because RDA is really doing lots of things which have to do with policies, which can interest also people in ministries or research agencies and so on. I think about this because of evaluation of research, but it's not the only thing. And I really think it would be useful to be able to get these things at first glance. And for the moment, you have to dig to find them here and there and so on. So I think it would be really good for the RDA to have this fully identified immediately in the list of topics.
So you're suggesting a pathway that is purely a policy.
Yes. You have things which can be at different places. So you can have things elsewhere, but when it's really relevant to you, the kind of thing you want to tell the minister or the ministry, I think it has to go in a specific path, even if it is also elsewhere in another path, which is more technical or more sociological or more whatever you can think about.
Right, and Ming Fang points out that there is a Fair Care Trust evaluation and policy. However, there are policies that are not directly related to Fair Care or Trust. So, okay, we'll look at that suggestion and evaluate it. But I think that you're right, especially as we try to reach out to policymakers and people who are making decisions, having a place a path that they can go, even especially if they attend an event. And the idea behind pathways is so you can navigate and get the material that is useful and not the material that's not useful.
It's also, when we are discussing with the ministries to get funds for the RDA or what else, one of the first questions is, what are you pushing about policies, which are linked to open science and all these things. So I think it would be very useful.
Very good. Very good. Okay, thank you. And hopefully somebody recorded that in the notes, or if they didn't, Francois, if you could put that in the notes.
I did. Don't worry.
And so my class is back from their tour of the museum. I'm going to let Ming and Raphael finish this off the last 10 minutes of the session. I'm sorry I have to go, but I have 15 undergrads who are learning about cyber infrastructure and fair and responsible research. So I need to go because they're coming into the room. So thank you so much, and I look forward to hearing what happens on the last part of this meeting. And Ming and Raphael, it's all yours.
Thanks, Rob. Just to say, I've recorded your suggestion, Francois, at the notes, so we will discuss that later on within tab.
Thank you.
No worries. So, do we have another question following that one, or on a new topic? Okay, so I saw on the chat there was a comment from Francoise before. She said that she liked the webinar because it enabled to grasp useful things about the sessions that someone was not able to attend. So regarding that decision, I know Ming Ming has been the one mainly responsible for setting up the reviews of the plenary sessions, and also a lot of the times actually conducting the seminar. So would you like to give some words on regarding that discussion?
So the reason transfer from webinar to the excuse me, to the report, yeah, the webinar was well received by people who participated. However, it took quite an effort to organize the webinar, and also the attendance was not that great. So webinar was recorded, but after that, didn't have much hate, people to read that, only for those people attended. So switch to report is a trial to see if that can reach wider audience, wider people, and also as a record there. So, a report probably is better than the webinar recording when people refer back, then go read the report, and yeah. So that's kind of main drivers. But this is a trial, then we will see how it goes with this plenary. Yeah, then well, only we have one, then you can compare which one is more accessible.
I think I can understand, TAB has a lot of TAB members have piles of work to do. So I completely understand that you can choose what requires not a reasonable amount of work with respect to it was just to tell you that you were not fully losing your time when you prepared the webinar before. That's it.
Thank you, Francois. Yeah. Yeah, so not just for the manual work, and also for reach wide, audience, and also for record keeping, then yeah. So
And that report also allows us to include to involve other members of TAB, because usually we select a few members and then those members go through the notes and select the outcomes and produce the slides. So in this manner, we can actually involve more TAB members.
Yeah, so now is just plenary just finished a few hours ago. I look at the those session notes, many are empty. So if you are co-chair of your sessions, please fill in those collaborative notes. There are 3 sections actually. One is a summary, and the second section is a takeaway message, and the third section is the connection with the other working group and the interest group. This connection with other group is a new section for this year, for this plenary, because the gardening RDA gardens activity Raphael talked about earlier, we will rely on this information to find the connections with working group and the interest group. Yeah, initially the RDA garden activity was thinking to send a survey to interest group or working group about their current activities and a connection to others, but we thought probably use these collaborative notes would be easier to get information right now. So yes, please fill in those notes as much as you could. Thanks. Sorry, Rory, are you talking?
Sorry, but I was muted. I was going to say,
see your mouse moving, but no sound coming out.
I was just saying thank you for I wasn't aware that we were supposed to do that. Now I am aware, and I think that's a great idea. And I also think the collaborative notes is the best place to do it. So yeah, so that's all good. Yeah.
Thank you. And any other feedback about tab activity, like a review of the session proposals? What do you think that would be, comments sent back to you would helpful, or would you like, or not helpful, you prefer other ways? Yeah, Francois.
It's not about the way you send us the reviews. It's more, I have experienced the fact that you insist on the fact that proposals have to be as global as possible, with a global coverage by proposals and topics and so on. I think it's a good idea. I have no objection, but I am not completely sure it's evident in the description of what is expected in sessions. So again, no objection at all, but it should be made explicit that RDA, not TAB, RDA expects that, for instance, both proposals are as wide as possible in terms of geographical coverage and so on, or regional coverage.
Yeah, that's good feedback, Francois. We did find that a pattern. Most of the feedback, we got back to the group saying you need to increase the global coverage, but we do aware, some group, they say, oh, we don't know the people in other regions. How we send an email to the group, but no one responds. So this is happening not just to the session proposal, but also to the working group chart, case statement, the interest group charter. So this is more like systemic issues, how we, TAB the council and those regional, what is the assembly, how we, those are people know the people the most, network, how they all come together to help people link to each other.
Yes, I think for the BOF, there is a specific, it's a bit different for a BOF because a BOF is here to allow people to gather interest from, because they have a good idea, they think they have a good idea and they need to find people who find it's a good idea. So in this case, it's normal, they don't know people all around the world, except for specific topics, which would require a wide coverage. But so I understand that, but I guess this can also be explained in the instructions to proposers. The fact that for above we can understand you are looking for interest from other regions, but and it's really worrying if people don't answer.
Yeah.
When you make a comment, because it's a bad sign for the group, I would say.
Yeah. Thanks, Laurie.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I have a suggestion here. So I attended the US and Canada, the US RDA and the Canada RDA had a session the other day, and I attended it. And in the session, the US RDA group explicitly said, we're interested in helping groups find Americans to participate in your groups. And in fact, I'm involved in setting up a new group. And I reached out to them and saying, hey, we have 2 people from the UK, 1 from Saudi Arabia. We'd love to have an American. Could you help us out? So it seems to me that the country groups would be best placed to help out. And the US is an example of that. But maybe rather than reaching out to a group, if you have this problem, if there was a mechanism that the RDA could kind of act as a triage and put them in touch with a particular country from a region that they wanted to help participate, that's probably because those countries presumably it's in their interest to provide members. So that might be, in other words, to try to generalize what the US group is doing.
Yeah, that's good. Good point. We're not done. So if we have new submissions, then we can point people to that regional group to, yeah. So this is a 1 hour session, isn't? Yes, we have 1 minute left. So yeah, it's pretty late for our European colleagues. So any suggestions if you have for the tab, please keep adding them in the notes. And what do you think this tab mid-chair should we like we usually have after the plenary, or before the plenary, once or twice a year? What do you think? Should we have like more often, or just keep it that way? If you have any suggestion, so please add that to the notes. With that, yeah, we close the session today, and thank you very much for your participation. Wish you good evening for our European colleagues, and good afternoon for yeah.
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Great seeing you all. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.